in your journey. So I'd like to ask our guests, what unforeseen challenges have you seen when you were starting and growing your businesses? Let's start with Brent.
Yeah, well, no, great guys. Thanks for having me. Glad to be on. So, challenges, so anyway, the things that you think are the truth, right? There's a lot of noise out there that comes along and people are telling you like different things. So you really need to keep an open mind, about what people are telling you. I mean, I'm always a big believer of that God gave me two ears and one mouth, so I should be listening twice as much as I talk. I'm still trying to, right? I'm still
Are
trying
you
to
still
master
working on that?
that.
Joe,
But
what
yeah,
do you
just
think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, Richard, Elizabeth, thank you so much for having me on the Passage to Profit. I've been following you guys, and what you're doing is fantastic. So,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. And gosh, as you were prefacing this question, my first thought was just looking around at all the various scars in my body and business of what I've done wrong. So I think at the end of the day, it is absolutely being active in listening, paying attention for real, not like a job that you might have had in the past where you just had to take notes or pass something to a boss or just kind of pretend and take a paycheck. What you'll be doing now when you start your own business is really actively listening and ensuring that you have no choice. There's no one else to help you.
So
So,
that's a great insight. But the question I'm wondering is,
mm,
what was like a particular unforeseen event that happened in your career that threw you off?
sure. Yeah. Again, there's so many, so I'll just jump in with some of the top five. I'll start with number one. So number one, I was in the middle of a very large startup transaction between a established company and their factory in China. And I thought, oh gosh, what a great thing for me. I'll be in the money in the middle, and I'll hold the money in the middle between the transaction and make my little cut on the side. Well, gosh, not only did I go from being the collector, but now I'm the payee. So I was getting pressure on both sides of the fence, and this would go with any startup as far as suppliers and incoming payments. So all of a sudden, I learned really quickly that you can grow a business fast with revenue, but my gosh, payables and your margins are important too.
Yeah. Brett, I want to go back to Brett because I want to hear what your unforeseen issue was.
Yeah, so like challenges with people that you bring on your team, right? So you automatically just because like okay, as far as I have a vision of what the business should look like, I have a vision of what things should be. It's not necessarily what the other team members are seeing the same thing, right? So it okay, sometimes it can be challenging to bring them in and get them to share the vision of what your direction is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely one. And it's hard to tell at the beginning, right? It's almost hiring is like a black box, somebody once told me. They can look great on paper, but once they get in the door, it's a disaster. On the other hand, you can also have people that aren't so good, but some reason your gut says go with them and they turn out to be winners. So, Arnold, what's the unforeseen situation that you had in your entrepreneurial journey?
Everything. So, I'll echo what some of the guests have to say, but I mean, no plan goes according to plan, right? And I think as an entrepreneur, you constantly are adjusting, sort of pivoting, and hopefully you're making quick decisions with half data. But hopefully those decisions tend to be reversible, right? So if you go down the wrong track, you can reverse those.
So can you give us an example of a situation where that happened?
So for example, if in our space, I'm in technology space, competition, is certainly, I mean, it's certainly a thing with every organization as a whole. But when it comes to, buying markets, right? So this is very typical in the technology space. If one organization raises more than you raise, they have the opportunity to essentially buy the market. And so when that happens, you need to start asking yourself, what do you want to do? Do you want to go and play in that sort of pond, or perhaps pivot into something where that's more niche, where you don't necessarily need to go raise $100 million or something like that, because there is risk in doing so. I think a lot of people celebrate very large fundraisers, And sometimes those work and sometimes they don't. And so I think you need to evaluate those again relative to your opportunity and the business that you're in.
Joe, you're nodding your head there. Do you have something to add to that?
I do. It made me think of a couple of things. One is, I think when you're starting a business, there's a couple pieces of advice that I've gotten over the years. One is that you can create a product and try and sell that into a market, right? And create a market, or look at the market itself and see what it needs, and then create a product for that. So to kind of keenly get insight into what the plan, as the previous guest referred to, which way are you going here? I've always found it's much better to find the fit in the market for your product. And that way, there's already a built-in customer base for you to sell to.
That kind of makes sense. Brett, what do you think?
Yeah, so even though a lot of us are in sales, right? The thing is I don't like to consider myself a person that sells or a salesman. I like to consider myself as I am finding a solution to somebody else's problem. And a lot of times though, right, they may not even know that they have a problem or need that solution yet, but we're bringing it just to light to we're saying, hey, here's the problem and we have the solution that can solve this for you.
That's great. Well, I'll tell you a story, and I kind of always go back to the same one. So regular listeners are probably tired of hearing about it. We tried to implement a new ERP system at the law firm, and we picked a platform that was just awful, right? And it was like publicly available. We relied on a consultant to pick this for us. The installation was terrible. The team was terrible. And it was just a disaster for years and years. And then we tried to upgrade to a different version of the same software, and it was equally a disaster. So I think my advice is don't go for the custom stuff. Just go for when it comes to administrative like software, just go for the name brands where there's a lot of support and there's a lot of knowledge out there already. So Elizabeth.
Yes, thank you. Uh, so I think my big mistake has been thinking that other people will think like I think. And I started this video directory for business coaches thinking, being on video, everybody's on Zoom. It's no big deal. Everybody's comfortable on video and they'll all do these little 30-second commercials for themselves. And I could put together this great website. And even people that teach people how to be on video and teach people about business don't want to do videos of themselves. So I misjudged that part of the market. I did a focus group on people that would watch the videos. And they were like, yeah, that'd be pretty cool to see a video of somebody before I call them up. But getting people to do the videos, I misjudged that.
That was unforeseen, but
Yeah.
I still think it was a good idea. I mean, and I do think its time will come.
Maybe, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I thought people after COVID especially would be more comfortable with being on video, but I talked to somebody who's a coach and does video coaching and business coaching. And she's like, I'm not doing a 30-second video. I don't feel comfortable. I'm like, but you teach people to do this.
I know. I saw that too. I was a little surprised, but anyway, I don't think any of our guests here though have that problem.